Hi, everyone. This is Ann behind the camera, and you're looking at Julie. Madeline, the director of the Ogdensburg History Museum, who's got a very interesting sign. It's called Throwback Thursday because that's exactly what this is. Yay. This is the day when we take a look at this fabulously
huge
scrapbook and see what wonderful snippet of history we can spotlight today.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things in this scrapbook. But this is what caught my eye today. So, of course, I'm flipping through and I see a headline that says, "Earthquake rocks the city at 1:04 a.m., swaying buildings, no damage." And this was November 1st, 1935. And if you've lived in our area for any time, you probably have experienced an earthquake. We don't get really big ones.
Yeah.
But this one sounds like it was pretty big.
It sure does.
Yeah. So the description, and the reason I like this one is just the way they wrote it. So people were rocked to and fro by the most severe earthquake experienced in this section for many years. Buildings in Ogdensburg creaked and groaned. Dishes rattled and pictures swung dizzily shortly after 1 o'clock this morning. Well, that had to have been something. And the ones that I've lived through, I don't remember anything creaking or groaning. I didn't lose any dishes.
Well, what's so interesting about these old time reports is some of the language that they use. It's very colorful.
It is.
And they kind of made a survey around the city and got some impressions from residents as they lived through this very shaking event.
Right, yes, absolutely. So they said that the sickening steady sway continued and cries of "earthquake" rang out through many homes. Men and women leapt out of bed, fearing the house might crash down on their heads. So I just think that's some of that language that we're talking about. So they said there's actually little actual damage that was done. Although there was damage to a chimney at the home of David Carlson at 809 Elizabeth Street.
Okay.
That tumbled down.
Okay.
People reported broken dishes. A few pictures fell from walls. So, I mean, we're not talking a huge earthquake here, but...
well, even if there wasn't a lot of damage, people certainly thought there might have been some damage coming.
Yes.
Like at the Journal office.
Yes.
There was a fellow operating the linotype machine, and what happened next?
So poor John Pearson is the night operator at the Journal.
Okay.
And he's doing his job, and all of a sudden, the heavy machine began to shake and rattle.
Oh boy.
And things started to fall down. Tools are falling down. And he himself was swaying back and forth. At that point, he decided he was getting out of there.
Okay.
So he ran out of the building and he went into the street thinking that the entire building was going to fall down.
Oh, wow.
And he said it seemed like it lasted over a minute. And then immediately the phone began to ring at the Journal. People wanted to know what the heck was going on. So the poor guy probably had to answer the phone about 1 million times after that to tell people, I don't know.
Yeah. And he had to go back in the building in order to answer the phone.
Exactly.
That was brave.
I don't know that I would have done that.
Well, meanwhile, over at another Ogdensburg landmark, i.e. the government lighthouse.
Yes.
The lighthouse keeper was also experiencing the effects of this big earthquake.
Yes. So Harold Cook was the keeper of the lighthouse, apparently. And he was afraid that he would have no lighthouse to keep. He said that he was awakened shortly after 1 a.m. and he said that the room was vibrating. He jumped from his bed and began seeking the cause. At the base of the lighthouse, at one end, and going to that part of the house, he found that the lighthouse was weaving back and forth.
Oh, no.
And he was afraid that it was going to topple over.
Ooh.
So he was pretty scared.
Okay, so he was safely tucked in his bed. But meanwhile, there was another group of folks here in Ogdensburg, and where were they?
They were out partying. So some people were at a diner, a local diner called the State Diner, which we actually had to look up. I hadn't heard of that one.
Yeah.
It apparently was down on Crescent Street,
Okay.
near the Crescent Diner.
And there was a notable personage there.
Yes, Mayor Morissette was having a bite to eat at 1 a.m, apparently. I can't eat that late, but he was having a bite to eat. And the big plate glass windows started to shake. And the tremors became noticeable, and he called Hector Chalette the attention to what was going on. And Hector Chalette had a diner. I know later on, I think he had Hector's Diner down there.
Okay.
So whether that's one and the same, I'm not really sure. And then he said, you'd better go down cellar and see what's going on.
And before that, didn't the mayor make a diagnosis? Didn't he say he thought it was an earthquake?
Yes, he did. He did. He said that he was pretty sure that that's what it was. But he sent poor Hector down into the basement anyway. Not really sure what Hector was supposed to do down there. Down there.
Well, then, meanwhile, there were revelers at a dance.
They had no idea what was going on. They apparently were dancing and maybe having a few, cocktails.
And they were already shaking, rattling, and rolling,
shaking,
right?
rattling, and rolling, and they had no idea what was going on. Because people asked them about it, they're like, earthquake? What earthquake? So I just thought that was really fun, just the way they wrote it, and going around and asking people, well, what did you experience?
Yeah.
And it was really kind of fun to read.
It really was fun. Kudos to the reporter on that one.
I don't know who the reporter was, but I love it.
Yeah. Well, that was a really good one, Julie.
Yeah, I think that was really fun. So next time there's an earthquake, you'll have to think about this.
Yes. You can post on the Ogdensburg History site and tell us what your experiences were.
Yeah. Because we do have them from time to time. If you're new to the area, maybe you don't know that. But once in a while, we do have them. They're not horrible, but, it's a little surprising sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's this scrapbook is going to yield a lot of surprises for us, no doubt.
We're not very far in yet.
No. All right. Well, thanks, Julie. That was another fascinating choice.
Yes, fun.
And we're looking forward to the next Throwback Thursday, which will become next week.
Woohoo!
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.